Hello again and welcome back to Bad Habits. Sorry for being a little bit late this week. You see, the anime of this month is One Piece. Now, I finished watching the full anime. Yeah, I know, 1,110 episodes. But after I finished all these episodes, I started thinking and I could not find a way to properly display or explain this whole anime. So over the next few days, I was thinking about how I'm going to explain all of this, how not to give the most spoilers in the whole anime, and how to make it sound the most exciting, because for what I hear about it, the anime itself is actually really good. So without giving too many spoilers, and without going through every arc and every story, so you guys get a chance to watch it yourselves, I'm going to explain the recruitment process, bits and pieces of what I thought about the anime itself, and then we'll go from there. So to start it off, this is Monkey D. Luffy. He is the protagonist of this whole story, and the story itself kind of centers around him. And his adventures, of course. See, him and his adopted brothers at a young age decided that they were going to be pirates, and each of them had a dream of their own. Luffy's dream was to become the king of the pirates, and to do that, you have to find the One Piece, the thing the last king of pirates left behind. And this is what all the other pirates across the sea are looking for. So everybody's fighting to find that One Piece, which is basically all of the golden treasure that Goldie Roger, the last king, found in his lifetime. This includes money, power, and status. So Luffy sets sail on what is basically a one-man raft. But see, you're not much of a pirate captain without a crew. So what else could he do except for start looking for people? And one of the first islands he stops at, if not the first island, remember this is 1,110 episodes ago, was a government-controlled island where they were holding a man named Zoro. Now, like I said, I'm not going to give any spoilers. However, you might get little tidbits of information. So, Zoro had been captured on this island through some circumstances that caused himself to turn himself in. And Luffy saw right through him to the good guy that he actually is. And quite a powerful ally was made from Zoro because he wishes to be the best swordsman on the planet, willing to fight anyone, anywhere, at any time in order to gain that title. And honestly, this guy's not playing around. He's not scared of anything or anyone, and he's ready to scrap at any point in time. And carries a very specific sword fighting style of 3 swords, one in each hand and one in his mouth. But how does he do it? Anime. Honestly guys, you're gonna have to stick with me on this one because this is one of those animes that it's best just not to question every detail because things will only get more confusing. It's about the watch, it's about the show, it's about the enjoyment. Don't question everything because nothing makes sense. But moving on to the next one. We travel more oceans and more seas to find the cat burglar, Nami. Now, to give you an idea about how early this is all going on, Roronoa Zoro, which is Zoro's full name, was found on episode 3, where Nami was found on episode 8, and this carries over for a while. Nami is a bit of a ruffian who is looking for nothing but more and more money because she's in extreme debt to a warlord of the sea. The Arlong Pirates, I believe it was. I believe they're a warlord of the sea, might not be a warlord of the sea, but something along that line. AKA, they're just big baddies. Now that's a little bit of a spoiler, but not much. It's really within the first 50 episodes of the whole anime that all of this goes down and happens. But it's not really too much of a shocker. In the beginning, Nami's really only joining the crew in order to make some money in order to pay off her debt more. She has things that she needs to take care of. And Nami herself is an A-class navigator, so she can point out any direction that the crew needs to go in order to get where they're heading. Which is why Luffy wants her on the team. And Luffy, seeing this girl in trouble, decides that he's going to help her to gain her trust. And thus, after some ruggamaroo, Nami joins the team. Up next, we have Usopp. Now, Usopp's kind of a sniper, or later on becomes the sniper of the group. But he's basically a scaredy cat with a lying issue. and spends like 90% of his time throughout the whole series running away from everything, and it just happens to work out in his favor. Now, this doesn't mean that he's not brave and that he's not useful, because being a sniper can be very useful. But anytime he ends up in anywhere close to hand-to-hand distance, he kind of goes from useful to useless. Not to mention, this man has irrational fears about everything. So we find him on an island, going around, running around, basically lying on a day-to-day basis, calling out things that aren't true, trying to get a rise out of all the villagers. Basically playing out a story in his head. This is until one day real pirates actually show up, and no one believes them. And even worse, bigger and badder pirates show up later on, and they still don't believe him. That's because Usopp has spent his entire life lying to these citizens, basically crying wolf. And now that something's happened that he spent his whole life preparing for, no one believes him that it's happening, and there's nothing that he can do about it. So he takes a stand by himself and tries to fight them off, to no avail because he is a scaredy cat and not good in hand-to-hand. And that's when Luffy, Zoro, and Nami step in to help the town out. Now, Usopp actually has connections within this village, people who found him enjoyable to have around the town. And because of this, Luffy and his gang eventually get their first ship, the Going Merry. Doesn't make Usopp any less of a liar, but does make him a good resource. So Usopp joins the team. This is in around or episode 17 if I haven't already mentioned it. Now so far we have a captain, a navigator, a fighter, and a sniper. But what's any pirate crew without a good cook? This is Sanji, and we meet him in or around episode 30. He's a cook at an at-sea restaurant where he's spent basically his whole life. And Luffy and his crew just happen to show up starving because, well, they're just not good at cooking. And thus is given a healthy amount of food for the whole crew to enjoy. Now Luffy sees an opportunity and wants Sanji to join him and his pirate crew on their voyage, and starts to speak with him about his dream of seeing the All Blue, a part of the sea where all four seas come together and has fish from all the parts of the sea, which is exciting for the cook. But he's willing to push his dream to the side because the old man who raised him needs him at the restaurant. So Sanji pushes off Luffy and says that I can't leave, I need to be here, I'm needed here. That is, of course, until the diner gets attacked. Now, this is really when we come along and there's this big fight, and a lot of things are going kind of wrong, and we see the first big loss of the season. It's a win, but it's a loss. And I know that's confusing, but if you were to watch this part of the season, then you would understand. It's the part of the anime that shows that just because you're a pirate crew doesn't mean you're always going to win, and that you need to be stronger in order to contend with all of these other pirates on the sea. But because Luffy and the gang helped out Sanji and his father figure, Sanji decides that he's going to join the pirate crew. Now this is all still relatively early in the season, within the first 30 episodes. Remember, there's 1,110. And yes, I know that sounds like a lot, but trust me, if you can get through this starting part where it's all slow and just introducing all of the characters and everything, it gets good. Now from there, we have a lot of adventures with this smaller crew, going around from island to island doing pirating things, fighting the world government, stealing treasure, you know, just general advanced and fun stuff, fighting other pirates, you know, really gaining a little bit of power and gaining strength along the way. Luffy's a little bit different from other pirates because he's not exactly out for the whole pirating and destroying villages and stealing from absolutely everyone thing, though he does enjoy stealing. A lot of times, he's there to make things better. He doesn't like seeing people in trouble. And he would rather everybody have fun with the adventure than just him. And this goes on for about, give or take, 60 episodes. That is around episode 90 when we run into Chopper. Now, Chopper's a rather weird example of a devil fruit, which a devil fruit is the fruits that people can get across this world that turn them into something different. Luffy can stretch like rubber. He has the Gum Gum fruit. Some people can control sand. Some can control ice, fire, hell, hormones. Chopper here was originally just a deer who got a hold of quite a weird fruit called the human fruit, successfully making him not a deer, but not a human, which kind of separated him from society as a whole, until a doctor took him in and taught him medicine. Now eventually Luffy's crew shows up, and after they show up, they see this talking deer, and they think, food. But eventually they get to know Chopper and see his strife and all of the problems that he's had in life, and decide to help him with his problems that he has on the island, aka another pirate group that owns and has taken over the whole island. Now, this is one of my favorite stories in One Piece, so I don't want to ruin too much, and I'm going to leave Chopper's story there. When you make it this far, just watch through this part. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, by the end of all this fighting and ruggamaroo and back and forth between Luffy, Chopper, and this pirate crew, Chopper ends up joining the crew as the crew's doctor. Now up next, we have Nico Robin. Now this chick is as deadly can be. She doesn't play around and originally was actually one of Luffy's enemies. But after everything was said and done and wrapped up in her arc, she decided to join the Straw Hats on their adventures and has become, over time, one of the most valued members of the team. At this point in the series, when Nico Robin joins, you're actually already pretty deep into it. And from here, it actually only gets better. 130 episodes, that's when Nico Robin joins. And it's kind of crazy to think about because most animes nowadays barely last 12 episodes. 24 if you're lucky. But in this specific anime, we're still meeting a lot of the main cast at 130 episodes. Now, Nico Robin is a very special case on the Straw Hats boat. She is able to read what are called poneglyphs, which are basically stones carved with the map to the One Piece. And there's very few people left who can actually read these poneglyphs, which makes her a very important and cherished member of the Straw Hats. Now, what's a pirate crew without a shipwright? This is Franky. Now, Franky is yet another character that actually started off as a villain, stealing all the Straw Hats' gold. He was being hunted down by so friendly members of the government. And like most other people in the Straw Hats, got caught up in their shenanigans. But after seeing that these people aren't so bad, he admitted to them that the gold that he stole, he bought wood with. It's a very special type of wood inside of the One Piece universe. It was wood taken from specifically the Atom Tree, the strongest type of wood that there is. And he used this wood in order to build the Straw Hats a new ship. Now, time Franky joins the crew, we are all the way out at episode 322, double what we were at when Nico Robin joined. And the whole time, the crew is on adventures, fighting people, gaining people's trust, saving people, enjoying their time out at sea, and finding all of the treasures that they love to find. Normal pirate stuff. Now, around this time period is really when the animation began to ramp up over time. You have to remember, when One Piece first came out, it was 1999. This anime, at the time this video was published, has been out and running for 25 years. And the anime and the storyline just kept on getting better and better. Stakes got higher. Originally, it seemed like a kid's show. You almost never saw blood, anything crazy. People weren't dying, nothing. even the animation was pretty basic. You would have whole background scenes, and the whole outside of the scenes are well whited out in order to like give this scene from way back when that you were watching these animes. Just very popular art styles from the time, but it continued to advance to where it is at this point and continues to grow past it. But if you think that's all the players in the Straw Hats, we're not through yet. Next on the roster is Brook. He happens to be another Devil Fruit Eater. And quite unfortunately, this Devil Fruit won't let him die. But a special someone stole his soul, and if he stepped in the sunlight, he would turn to ash, effectively killing him. But they destroyed his ship and sent him out to sea around a belt that was nothing but clouds in the sky. And there he stayed for years upon years. Until one day, the Straw Hats happened to run into the ship. On board, they find this skeleton, and it happens to be living. Best afro in the world, may I add. But all this man really wants is to get his soul back, or more like his shadow, that's being held by the big bad of this specific arc. And Luffy, being, well, Luffy, quickly found out that he's a musician and he would love to have him on the ship. So what else is there to do except for going and help him get his soul back? And go on they did, and battles happened and things carried forth. Brook did eventually end up getting his soul back, and then he set out to sea with Brook on the ship with them, finally joining the crew at episode 381. Now the story continues. A lot of things happen. It starts becoming real. A whole bunch of fights start taking place. People die. And the One Piece just seems so far away. Eventually they find out that the One Piece is indeed real. And they're not just chasing some dream. They're living out their lives, their destinies. And it just seems like more and more Luffy gets more and more powerful, and it seems like he's going to become the king of pirates. And through these adventures, and through help with loss, and coming in at times of need, we meet the last player on our team, Jinbei. Now, Jinbei is a fishman, and what a fishman is basically mermaids. If they were like shark based and kind of fucked up from time to time. And this guy was even a warlord of the sea who Luffy helped rescue. This put Jinbei into his debt from there forward, and Jinbei now massively respects Luffy. And over time, understanding, and a lot of trouble, Jinbei finally joins the Straw Hats. Now this one was a huge skip from the last one. We did not see Jinbei join the team until episode 876. And that's way down the road. Remember, this anime is currently sitting at 1,110 episodes. But finally, all of these puzzle pieces are coming together and really making the anime great. Because once we hit around the 800 mark in the anime, the animation just went wild. They started using all of these resources at their disposal. We went from short fight scenes and monocolor to faded out backgrounds, to vibrant colors and fully drawn out backgrounds, fully drawn out fights to where when they swing their sword, you see the flashes happening behind it. Meaningful storytelling that really gets your heart pumping, and when you look at it, you're like, yes, this is the person I want to save. Gotta admit, I will always hate the way villains are drawn now. Now, we're not talking big villains, right? The big villains, Big Mom, Kaido, you know, people, if you watch the show, you know who I'm talking about. They are drawn so good. They have meaning behind the pen strokes that's used to create them. All of like the half-baked villains, they look stupid. Like, the kind of guys you hate just because they look stupid. Like, giving people warts all over their face and ungodly large buck teeth in order to really point out that this person is unlikable. Now, I'm not saying that those qualities make somebody unlikable, so I want you to kind of stop there. What I am saying, though, is that they're drawn in such a way that you don't even have to guess who the villain is. You're just like, yeah, it's that guy. 14-foot foreheads, like snot running down their nose. In the case of one of the characters, they literally dressed him up like a clown. Big baddies are so well drawn and so well put together, and they cause a threat. Small baddies look silly, act silly, and get their butt kicked. And it's those small villains that I'm not really a fan of. I just feel like I would like to be kept guessing, I guess. But besides that, the animation is absolutely beautiful. I found myself for like the last 500, 600 episodes binging it at every waking hour. Yes, that's between making these videos, doing the anime of the month, doing the video game of the month, streaming on Twitch, and working. Never say I don't love you guys. I do a lot of work for this. And every single one of you that watch my videos, thank you so much. It means the world to me. But I think I might be getting a little bit off topic. I know a lot of people decide not to watch this one because of that episode count. And I know how scary it can be to sit down and watch 1,000 plus episodes when most animes are just kind of chill animes. You watch 12 episodes and the anime be finished. And yes, it is kind of silly from time to time, but the animation grows over time and it becomes more serious. And being one of the few people who has actually sat down and watched all 1,110 episodes, I can say that this is an A+ anime. Now, like I said before, I don't want to get into telling you the story behind it. There's just so much story here that you need to explore yourself. And don't find it daunting. You don't have to watch all 1,110 episodes at the same time. You don't need to binge this entire anime. Every once in a while, come back to it, watch 10 episodes. Spread those 10 episodes out. Eventually you'll get to the end of it and you'll be like, wow, I didn't expect this out of this. I know I didn't. The first 3 seasons, I strayed off. I was like, I'm never gonna watch this again. It was very disinterested to me. You know, it just wasn't my thing at the time. But after the second time, I gave it another chance. And then I loved it. It got deeper and deeper. And it just got better and better. And the animation just kept on going up. And now I'm rooting for the One Piece gang to find the One Piece. I want him to win. I want to find out who Joy Boy is. What kind of things that he left on the final island. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. The anime of the month was One Piece. Watch it. It's worth the watch. Like I said, you don't have to watch it all at once. But it was a good one. And I can't wait till the next season comes out. Because it's still going. And it's still going to be going for a while. But we'll see you next time when you join us right here on Bad Habits. Bye!